John, can I just say something?
Can I start?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Listen, I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of keeping this in. Okay, I'm just going to say it.
Do it, John.
Summer is here.
Yep.
All right? And that means it's full-on sunglasses season.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For beach days, baseball games, and everything in between. I don't know what's in between there technically.
I don't know.
You need a pair of shades. And you need a pair of shades that you don't have to baby.
I've already got kids, John.
Yeah.
I don't need more sunglasses.
I already baby myself. I don't have time to baby sunglasses.
Let's talk about that later, actually.
Okay.
John, Knockaround has been making high-quality shades that don't break the bank since 2005, and they've actually been my personal go-to for years.
You know, they have over 25 different frame styles. You didn't know that,
Nope,
but I just told you that.
I didn't.
No. So that there's something for everyone, including tons of kids' pairs.
That's right. So whether you're looking to rep your favorite MLB team, that's Major League Baseball, spend some relaxation time in the yard.
That's like a grassy area.
That's where you sort of grow up.
Yeah.
And cruise down Main Street. That's the main.
It's like one of the streets down through town.
With the windows down.
Like
Knockaround has got what you need, John.
Okay, all their lenses. Let me hit you with some more info that you didn't know.
So help me if you say anything over 200, by the way.
Okay, Dave, buckle up and sit down and roll the windows down because they have all their lenses have UV 400 protection, which is basically like sunscreen for your eyes. Don't actually do that.
Don't do that.
We do not endorse that behavior.
Yeah.
And with polarized adult pairs starting at $28.
Yeah.
Right? I spend that on coffee every day.
Wow.
You can get a few pairs to leave in your car, toss in your beach bag, lend to a friend.
Yeah, or just throw it in your yard and see what happens with that pair. It may grow a sunglass tree. This June is going to have more releases than ever. So stay tuned all month long for new collabs, that's collaborations, new frame styles.
That's like the thing.
What they look like. New colorways, which is the ways that color are, and more.
Dadville fans, check out knockaround.com and use the code Dadville15 for 15% off your order.
That's Dadville15 for 15% off your order at knockaround.com. Dadville. Yeah. Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with
Dave and me. John.
Dave.
No, you go first.
No, go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to go if you don't mind.
Oh.
You know, guys, it's important to John and I that the supplements we take are of the highest quality, and that's why for many years, so many years, we've been both drinking AG1. Unlike
the same glass.
Well, we stopped that last year.
Yeah.
That was your call. I wouldn't have stopped that, John.
Okay.
Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 is researched and developed by an in-house team of scientists, doctors, and nutritionists with decades of experience in their respective fields.
That's right, Dave. I hate it when you speak for me, but that time you were spot on. So many people have asked us if AG1 is the real deal. All right? And trust me, there's a reason why we've been doing it for so long.
Quality for...
Start with quality. Tell them about the quality.
Okay, well, I get excited. I don't mean to interrupt. Quality for AG1 isn't just a buzzword.
No.
It's a commitment backed by expert-led scientific research, high-quality ingredients, industry-leading manufacturing, and rigorous testing. At each step of the process, AG1 goes above and beyond industry standards.
Now, we know that we can trust what's in every scoop of AG1 because they obsess over product quality. Obsess. The standards of manufacturing partners also, and sustainable practices.
That's right. AG1's ingredients are heavily researched for efficacy and quality. Hard to say, but great to hear. And I love that every scoop also includes rhodiola and V vitamins. Not V. It sounded like I said V, but it's B.
Yeah, B.
Because they're the best for energy support.
That's right. We've partnered with AG1 for so long because they make such high-quality product that we genuinely look forward to drinking every day, again, out of the same glass.
So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1/Dadville. Check it out. You guys, you wanted more. You thought, we still have questions.
Yeah. We said that's enough. And you said, No, it's not enough.
Hashtag still questioning. You know what I mean? So we're just going to keep answering these questions, guys, because it's the blessing and the burden. It's the way that we serve. It's what Dadville is
still not
for.
over this cold.
It's crazy.
A month later.
You're going to get it. You're going to kick it. I have a feeling.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's jump right in.
Okay. Why don't you lead this party?
Okay.
You lead this dance.
D Ching Photo says, you two are great at writing songs about family, specifically your kids. Would you ever consider teaming up to do a Dadville album? He also adds, I once mentioned this to you, John, at an autograph signing at one of your shows in Minneapolis at Dakota, and you thought I meant a kids album. I meant more like songs from a parent's love from their kids and families, the ups and the downs, which God gave me someone for both of those things.
There we go.
The support
There's
we give each other,
there.
the small things, the special things, like a whole album of Imaginary Tea or Song for My Children. Those two get me in tears every time. I'm not crying. Yes, I am crying. Here, when I intro that song at shows, when I do it, and I love singing it, this should actually be maybe the tag of Dadville podcast. Nothing is less interesting to people than hearing you talk about your kids, your own kids. And so it's really tricky because it can, and I when I ask my friends, I do that a lot. I'll be like, so tell me about what do they like? And I mean that, and I want to hear that. Uh-huh. If that lasts 30 minutes, interest is going to wane pretty quickly. Yeah. And I have to be careful when people ask me to not go, okay. So the funny thing, Xana, first year, what was that year like? Blah, 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 blah. Let's get into year 2. They're like, how many? She's 9. It feels like this is going to last. I kind of feel that way with songs. It's like, even with the people I love the most, I personally am good with kind of that intermittently, that's even the best songs. I think about that Radney Foster song that the Dixie Chicks cut. What's it called? Little one. It's on their Fly album, and y'all are sitting there yelling in your car the name of the song, and I can't remember it. But anyway, it's a beautiful sort of lullaby. I love that they put at the end that it's kind of like, hey, we're not going to give you 10 of these, but this one is going to be great. I just personally feel like you got to be careful as a parent when you write songs, especially as a touring sort of active artist,
right?
It doesn't turn into man, because there's been a couple artists that I know where I bought their records, especially before I had kids, that I was like, oh boy, you look at the back of the album at the time, CD at the time, and be like, oof, I know that's 4 right there. I can see,
I think I agree with you. But I do, my natural sort of devil's advocate is running in my brain right now and thinking of, that Nirvana song, I'm sorry, listener, Dave just sat trying to think of a song title. I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm sorry, hang on there. It's that one where he's like, shoot, now I'm on the spot and I can't think of it. But it's about he and Courtney's, it's their kid.
The longer we talked about it.
I am so sorry. But I'm like, but that song, I didn't know for years was about their kid.
That, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
there's subterfuge.
You would have to mask it a little bit.
Which I think you and I have both done on records since having kids. I have, there's probably, I don't know that people be like, what? But I mean,
right.
I think the casual listener would probably not know, oh, that's and it's not, I have to digress. It was on, it's on The Chicks, I forget that's what they're called now. It's on the Home album, and it's called Godspeed, or in parentheses, Sweet Dreams. I think you're right. There's kind of, to me, children's songs come in really 3 ways. Those sort of the things you sing in kindergarten with your kids, kid songs. Yeah. Then there's this is a sweet lullaby, which I would put that Chick song under. And then there's what you're saying, where you're like, oh, or
you find out years
Closing
later.
Time.
Yeah.
By Semisonic. Dan wrote that about his child being born. And if you want to hear your mind just get your mind eggs get scrambled, listen to him explain how that song is literally about childbirth, and but it's cool. That's one of those where it's it's about his kid.
Yeah.
You would never know that.
Yeah.
So you kind of,
which I love, this is a tangent, but I love it when that happens, where there's a song that you've loved for years. I mean, I know that song. I've known that song for 25 years or however old it is.
Yeah.
I love that song. And then you hear what it was actually, the perspective that it was written by, and then you go back and listen to the lyrics, and then there's this new color on every word.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I think that's really cool. But I recently have sort of taken. I think I'm going to stop talking about what my songs are about.
Yes.
Because I kind of want them to just be whatever you think it's about. Like, let it be what you like.
Yeah.
It like
Yeah.
you create a painting. It's
Yeah.
like, what do you see?
Yeah.
You know. But this is an example, like with Semisonic, where it can be a cool experience. Maybe years later, I don't know.
The
Now
thing the genius of what you're saying, and Dan not talking about much, because that song's been out 5 years or something? 20
like
years?
that, yeah.
Is that if he'd have said that from the beginning, it would have colored so much of how you listen to that song.
Yeah.
It would for me. I mean, I'd listen and be like, this is awesome, but it's okay, I don't have a kid. Like, okay, move on. So I do think and I've, like you, I've had times where I told what a song is about, and somebody would be like, oh, that's not what I thought. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And I also, a superpower I do not have that I have so much respect for is all those writers who can do that. I remember like early on when I started writing songs, it's like I had these icons who were like, God, I want to be able to write something that you're like, what does this line mean? And it's like, well, so it's funny. I was in Jamaica, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that. I just can't do it. At best, I can barely do it. But those writers, to me, it's such a superpower that they can go, I can go have this experience that's wildly singular and then rewrite it, and it's like some anthem. But if you really press them on it, they're like, yeah, I was roller skating with my daughter, and it's about that roller skating rink in Clinton, Mississippi. And you're like, okay, but the song is called Big Pink Love. And you're like, yeah, it had pink wall. And you're like, what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Whatever. You're just like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is a big one. You ready? You guys are so funny.
Thank you.
Namely, Dave. I added that part.
I would agree.
Who are your go-to comedians / comic acts / comedic TV shows, current or all-time or both? Let's treat this like a speed round because it's going to be a lot of them.
I don't know. I mean, it's too hard.
Okay, I'll go while you're thinking.
Okay.
The GOAT to me is Jonathan Winters.
Yeah.
He is, to me, I really think he may be the funniest person that's ever lived. He was on Mork and Mindy and was kind of like Robin Williams' mentor. Obviously, Robin Williams is a genius. People that I grew up on that were like seminal, that were very important comedic input into my life, SNL on the whole. Just
of course.
Every iteration through every year.
Yeah.
Jonathan Winters, I loved Ellen's early stand-up. That was a huge, like watching her and how she did her stand-up I loved. This is early Ellen days. Like way before the show and even her TV shows and stuff. I loved Steve Martin. I mean, again, kind of any offshoot of SNL humor. Because, Lorne Michaels wrote Three Amigos, with Randy Newman, which is my favorite fun fact of all time. And somebody, maybe Steve Martin, I can't remember. Anyway, that's a big comedy store for me. Like those people.
Yeah.
I think now, obviously, Bargatze is so funny. I think Theo Vaughn is a genius. I think he's a weird, twisted, amazing. He's one of the first comics in maybe years that I think I don't know where that comes from. And that is amazing to me. Like, you see a lot of comics like, I say I did that.
Yeah.
He is one of the few people that, like, when he talks, I'm like, I don't even know where this is. Like, what?
You couldn't guess
where
his
is
playlist.
Yeah. And he says something like, I've never heard those words before that you just said in that order. So I think there's some really great. I always loved Dimitri Martin because he has like 5 stand-up shows.
Yeah.
He can do like the drawing where he flips a thing. He can do like music. He can do just like, he is such a unique. So I think there's a lot of, but to me, the initial stuff was, some of those older comics that I really love.
Yeah. It's hard for me. I mean, I think David Letterman's got to be on there for me. Like
Indiana boy.
I grew up watching David Letterman for sure. Like that was Jay Leno as well, but Letterman was more what my dad watched. So I'm sitting there with my dad watching, and that triangulation that happens.
Oh yeah,
where anytime my dad laughed at anything, which takes a lot to make my dad laugh, but any kind of like, that's my dad laughing. I would clock that for sure. And David Letterman's dry humor.
Oh man,
that is not. This is what I love about it. It is humor that is never going to help you out. Like if you're not on the humor bus, this bus is never slowing down to let you on.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that. Yeah,
you're just not going to get it. And he doesn't care if you don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was listening to an interview with him recently where he said, he told this whole story about he and Paul Newman that is not correct. It didn't happen. And if you know his humor, then you know all the while he's making all this up. And it's funny that he's making it up. If you don't know that humor, or if you can't grab onto it, you just thought you heard a story about David Letterman and Paul Newman.
Yeah.
It never happened.
Yeah.
There's just something about, I think his humor is genius. I think when he did that interview with, or lack of an interview with Joaquin Phoenix, remember like 15 years ago when Joaquin was doing that thing where he's wearing the glasses and he was all, do you remember this? If you just Google Joaquin Phoenix Letterman, I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah.
Where he was doing this thing, it's so hard to explain, where he and what's his name, Casey Affleck, were like making a documentary, but for a while nobody knew. They just thought Joaquin Phoenix had like lost his mind, and he came on the Late Show with Letterman, and he was like chewing gum and like so weird. Anyway, the way Letterman handled that is comedic timing genius.
Wow.
This is not a great story because you don't know what this, you haven't seen this.
There.
But anyway, I would say Letterman is up there. And these days, anytime I hear Bargatze do anything, I'm like, he's one of the funniest people on the
this will
planet.
be easier for you. Shows you love, because we talk about this a lot. New Girl to me is genius.
Yeah.
30 Rock, I know you wear both
30
of those
Rock
out.
is one of my favorite shows of all time.
I think for me, I loved South Side, that show that was on. It was a bunch of the people, I think, from either Chappelle Show, writers there, stuff I've liked lately. I loved all of the Naked Guns. Any of the Zucker Brothers stuff for me growing up was like huge. And then recently, there's like, I'm trying to think of stuff that I watched that's really funny.
Leslie Nielsen's another example.
Oh my gosh.
He is going to be deadpanned.
Yeah.
And he's never going to wink at you at the end of the joke so that you know it was a joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love
you just got those things he does with the fart. He would do with the fart thing while he's doing interviews. It's the end. It ends me. Okay, this is a good one. What tips to do or not to do have you learned about the art of podcasting? What do you feel like you are getting better at? I'm really interested to hear what you say about this.
I'm just so excited for us to start getting better at this.
Yes.
Do you remember the very first episode of Dadville that was ever recorded?
I have zero recollection of that.
Well, it no one knows it because we never put it out.
It didn't make
Do you remember
the light
that?
of...
You don't
No,
remember
I
this?
don't at all.
I remember, I had some steep learning right at the beginning because I came into this thinking this is going to be
easy. Yeah.
I mean, you had the idea for this podcast. This is your idea. You asked if I wanted to do it with you. I was like, of course. And part of the impetus for it was you thinking, Dave and John, we talk all the time. We live right across the street from each other. Let's start recording this.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, let's just start recording. We don't need to prep anything.
Yeah.
Let's just chat.
Yeah.
And we got done with that. We talked for an hour right here in these exact spots that we are right now. We stopped and we were like, I felt good, right?
It's like after a really weird makeout session with some or something, you're just like, woof, man, what? That was
you liked that, right? Do you think people
we
will like
loved
that?
that?
And then I think we texted later and we were like, should we kind of take another swing at that? It would be really interesting to go
Hear
back
that.
and listen
I
to
bet
that.
I've got it.
Yeah.
I think I'm curious, like what you feel like you've learned. As I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, I think something that this better than anybody does doing this with me. I am always very cognizant of. I'm terrified that that collectively, but I would really speak for me, that Dadville is ever too self-centric. That it's like too.
This is an
we're
ongoing
talking,
thing.
yes.
And our two stances are always, you're concerned about that, and I'm always like, that ship has sailed.
It is good. Dave, people are here, and it doesn't matter. I just get really nervous. And this, not to get too deep, but I think this is a problem with my life too. I have to be. Annie has been really good for me in my life about going like, you need to give the floor up more.
Yeah.
And that was early days, and I think she would tell you, and it means the world to me. She's like, "You're great at that now." It's like you're amazing at it. But I think,
oh my gosh, you must have been terrible then,
bro. You don't. Anybody that knows me listen to this is like, yeah, they just avoided me. So I think the way that bleeds into the podcast is I'm like, I just never want people logging on being like, "Good gracious, guys, like that's enough about you and your life and your kids and your wives." And so I think,
again, I'm like, but the show,
absolutely,
then the show shouldn't exist.
That's exactly right.
You know,
and so I think what I've gotten better at is being more okay with that.
Yeah.
I do feel like we have flow of shows has gotten a lot better. I think we've learned a lot about following a conversation naturally and not feeling like we need to sort of stick to script.
Yeah.
I think we've also done the opposite. Like we've gotten better at going like, hey, we need to kind of curtail this back onto the it's just things you learn naturally, I think.
It is it's tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, the trickiest thing about doing an interview with someone is Dave and I always prep, and if the person has a book, we try to read the book. At least one of us reads the book. We come in with questions.
Yeah.
We have a flow, and then you start talking, and you realize, oh shoot, they kind of answered that next question.
Yeah.
That we're going to ask.
Yeah.
And they also kind of answered questions 7 and 8 already.
Yeah.
And we're starting to careen into parenting stuff, which isn't until question 11.
Right.
So what do you do? It's tricky.
Yeah.
And it really makes you admire and see the skill that skilled podcasters and interviewers have.
Well, too, and here's the last thing I'll say. I think, and this is I know anybody listening probably has put this together naturally, but I think there's kind of different kind of podcasts. There's like podcasts where it is interview based like ours, but it's more conversational than it's just an interview. And like you mentioned Terry Gross in the last Q&A, which I remember just so well, which is funny just off the tet how much I remember that stuff. But like, where you have more of like, I'm going to read these 8 interviews no matter what. Or I'm sorry, questions no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to converse with you about your answers, but the questions are going to be unbelievable and very telling, and you'll answer very interestingly because you have to, because they're just poised that way. So and then there's in between. And I feel like for us, there's always a little bit of like, how do we want this to feel? Because you don't want to just ask questions and not have something to say, but you also want to really make sure you're not dominating the conversation. Yeah. And I think that's probably the trickiest with people we know well.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to lean on, well, this is my buddy, and we're just chatting. And
those are so fun.
They're so fun, but we always want to make sure that they have the spotlight and they feel honored. And, and then the podcast is called their name for that week. So you want to make sure it's not somebody logging on going, that is one thing, and then we'll move to the next question, that I can struggle with some podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
Is like when you can feel the host kind of like, man, this guy or girl has talked probably 50% of this podcast. And that's okay, but like kind of saw that and I clicked on it because I wanted to hear what so-and-so had to say. And, those are always tricky. Oh, man. Oh,
Dave.
Yeah.
What happened to your face?
Well, it's named my high school metal band, but also what really happened, razor burn. I did it again. I can't believe it. I used a cheap razor to shave, and that's on me. That's on me.
Yeah, you gotta meet Henson Shaving. I've been telling you about them forever, and you never listen.
Okay.
It's a family-owned, I'll say it again to you.
Okay.
It's a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the International Space Station, Dave.
Whoa.
The international one.
Wow.
Right? And now they are bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience.
Well, actually, we have an International Space Station?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. If you're one of the 88% of men who experience irritation from shaving, like my friend Dave here, then you might be expecting the worst with each shave. That's no way to live.
No.
Yet Henson users have seen dramatic improvements, including the disappearance of ingrown hairs and razor bumps.
I heard Henson shaving innovation comes from an interesting analogy. Think of razor blades as diving boards. Stay with me, John.
Okay.
The longer the board, the more it wobbles. The micro wobbles are what lead to more nicks and cuts. Henson solves this by minimizing the blade extension, addressing the root cause of bad shaves.
Best of all, Dave, the Henson razor works with standard dual-edged blades to give you that old school shave with the benefits of new school tech. Okay? Once you own a Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades.
I can't wait to get my new Henson razor. And you need one too, John. I'm not trying to be mean.
I got one.
Okay.
I got one.
Okay. Well, it's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/Dadville to pick the razor for you and use code Dadville, and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart.
That's 100 free blades when you head to HENSONSHAVING hensonshaving.com/Dadville and use the code Dadville. Oh man.
Johnny.
Yeah.
I need a break.
We just got started on our noises for the morning.
I need some coffee.
Oh, wait. Did you say coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dave, today's episode and my morning cup of Joseph is brought to you by, let's sing it together.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8. Wait for the count. Methodical coffee. Whoa.
Methodical coffee has craft coffee and tea for people of all kinds, John. Roasted, blended, brewed, served, and perfected by verified coffee and tea nerds like Johnny Mac,
myself,
the Mac Attack Johnson.
You know it, Dave. And now Methodical has resolved the headache of having too little or too much coffee from your traditional time-based coffee subscription. With Methodical, you can subscribe by usage.
Classic SBU. Receive a free smart scale that tracks your coffee consumption and triggers your next order right at the perfect time. So you always have just the right amount of coffee on hand, worry-free.
That's right. We're living in the future. Best part is you can receive 20% off your first bag and 10% off all subsequent bags with no code needed when you try the free smart scale.
John, we also have our very own. We call it our phone. That's the quickest way to say it, which usually I'm in a rush. Our very own Dadville blend. It's the fuel that gets me going every day.
That's right.
Filled with hints of chocolate, graham, and brown sugar.
Methodical is on a mission to connect people to the beauty of life through coffee experiences for people like you. Methodical's been roasting and hosting. Get those G's out of there. Just I-N' for over 9 years. And they offer a wide selection of coffees and teas from dark and roasty to bright and funky.
Don't do
like
it. Don't
Dave A. Barnier.
Do it.
That's
on
right.
their site, you'll also find brew guides that teach you how to turn your coffee brewing chore into a beloved ritual. Is it beloved? I don't know. Right. I'm going to say it how I want to, John. This is my show and a little of yours. Also, get 10% off your first order of coffee or tea with the discount code Dadville.
That's 10% off your first order with the discount code Dadville. Craft a cup you'll love with Methodical coffee.
Aimeri, AIMMERRI, says, I really want to meet your family. I really want to know if they think you're funny or if they would roll their eyes at the question. I want to know all behind the scenes. That's a great
question. My girls, I mean, it's all of the above. Like, do they think I'm funny? They are 8 and 11 right now. I can still make them laugh.
Yeah, you got it.
I think those days are probably numbered.
Yeah.
But I'm still at the point where if I want to make them laugh in the next minute, I think I can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in a couple years, that's going to change. And I'll probably be able to make them laugh every now and then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What about, where would you put Amy on that?
I think Amy and I crack each other up.
Yeah.
She has gotten funnier and funnier. She just continues to get funnier and funnier.
Yeah.
And I love that, you know? So yeah, but there's definitely eye rolling happening all the time.
Yeah.
What about you?
Amy, I mean, she's a pretty easy laugh for me.
Yeah.
And Luca, I had rolling the other day in the car. That felt great.
Dude, I will say, and I love this. I really, really love this. I mean, you're a very funny person, so you crack everybody up. But I love watching my girls crack up.
Oh yeah,
so the other day, Luca and I were in the car and we were coming home and we stopped. You and Xana were outside. You think you were spanking her, disciplining her, or something like that.
That's the usual thing.
Weed pulling was involved, and hair pulling. and you were giving Luca some pep talk, and you did this thing where you grabbed the door of our car, and that cracked her up.
It got her
so
good.
much, and she's mentioned it like 4 times.
And she really did make me
since.
so happy.
Yeah, and then there's another time that was legendary. This was a couple years ago where we were outside again. We were like gotten in the car and we were getting ready to leave, and you started running toward our car from your house, and just the way that you were running, it cracked the girls up, and they still mention it.
That's so great.
I just love. I mean, anything that makes them laugh.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. I'm the same. My 3, Ben is a pretty easy laugh for me, and I think that's some first child sort of like weird connection with with your parents, where you're just kind of like, they're the best. Xana is kind of, people ask all the time, like, who's got your personality, and she is the one.
Yeah.
So she is unbelievably funny, and also just really is an easy laugh. And I mean, somebody told me yesterday, like, her laugh is maybe my favorite kid laugh. I mean, it's just so verbose and big and joyful.
Yeah.
So she's fun. Like the other day, we were walking somewhere, and somehow this kind of came up with our family, our immediate family. And Xana was like, you can't make me laugh that fast. And within 10 seconds, she was laughing. Mm-hmm. So that's a power, like you said with the girls. It's like, Sam is tough. Sam is like he's like Annie. He's a really tough laugh. Yeah. So it's like when I get him good, it's a good feeling. And same with Annie. Like I mean, more eye rolling. Like if her eyes could have muscles grown from the amount of rolling they do, she'd have like biceps growing out of her eyes, because it is a constant, like, Dave, just like, please stop, like, order something. She's standing here, whatever. Yeah. But when I get that laugh, it is crack cocaine. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like I could run through a brick wall when Annie gets really tickled at something I've done. And usually it's something I didn't mean for it to be that funny, or I do as an off non sequitur, and she's laughing. I'm like, wait, she's like, that's really good. I'm like, okay, well, let me work on that for a second. What was I doing? Oh yeah, okay. So this was, some voice. Yeah. But she's a tough laugh, which is frustrating because, Barrett Ward, who we've had on, Barrett can make Annie laugh immediately about anything. Yeah. And that's a real problem. Yeah. It's like, that still bothers me. Okay. Let me see. Somebody just made a comment. I really didn't need to know where your Momnesia shirt is from. Are they still selling those?
That's a good question, actually.
Okay.
So the Momnesia shirt is I have 2 sister-in-laws. My brother's wife, Sarah, and my wife's sister, Julie.
Yeah.
They had a podcast that they started. I don't know when they started, a couple years ago, but it's called Momnesia. It's a great podcast. The premise was they would interview a mom and they would ask them 2 questions. One was, I hope I get this right. What is something that you want to forget about motherhood? Wow. And what is something that you hope you never forget?
I think
those were the 2.
That's great.
It's a great premise. Anyway, they made these shirts that said Momnesia
that's right.
on them.
Okay. Fleazy MD was a doctor of fleas, as he or she probably goes by. I kind of want to know, what is your favorite ice cream? Sidebar. Related side note, Dave Matthews Band had a collab with Ben & Jerry's around 2010, and it was probably the most amazing ice cream ever made. That's a fun fact.
Did you know that?
No.
I wonder what it was called. What would it have been called?
My brain is flying right now trying to think of a pun with all those dancing bananas. Or like tripping cherries, or
Sugar Crash.
That. Hold on, let's don't end that yet because there's more to come.
You want to win?
Well, I'm just trying to think. This is too easy. Like, what? Ants March. I'm out. I want this. This feels like this is a lob, and I can't hit it.
Why can't we get it?
Sugar Crash is the win, though. That's That's really, really good.
Yeah.
Under the Creaming Tree.
Don't. Now we're definitely going to have that E. My favorite ice cream, hands down, is cookies and cream. Bluebell?
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
Yeah.
There's no better ice cream on planet Earth than that.
Yep. Mine is, so I do this every birthday My birthday, not everybody's birthday. I'd be there every other second. For my birthday, we always go to Baskin Robbins and I get mint chocolate chip. It is my favorite. Mm-hmm. I think
but it has to be Baskin Robbins.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, I love mint chocolate. You know, I'm not necessarily like, but if it's like, hey, this is your day, what do you want to go get? Yeah, it's that every time.
Okay.
I love mint chocolate chip.
See, that's great because you can get that all over the country.
Yeah.
No matter where you are.
Well, I tell you honestly, and it's a real sadness of mine. They're kind of going away a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like they're a lot of those stores are shutting down. What? This got so heavy so fast. Well, I'll tell you what heavy so fast is.
Yeah.
Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Oh man.
Jeez.
I just love breathing that clean air.
I agree. If you could put your shirt on, that'd be great. You know, this new Neo PX is incredible. Did you know that indoor air can be up to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air?
What?
Stay with me.
Okay.
VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, you heard that, are constantly emitted indoors from thousands of common household products.
I did know that, Dave, of course. Enter Neo PX.
Ooh.
Okay? The world's first bioengineered living purifier. That's right, living purifier. Designed to clean the air in your home. It was invented by scientists to target the most harmful VOCs. It's up to 30 times better than a regular houseplant at fighting pollution.
Based on 5 years of research and development, the Neo PX captures and recycles VOCs into useful matter like sugar and amino acids. Every month, you just pour the bioengineered formula called Power Drops onto the plant soil to supercharge Neo PX.
That's right. Neo PX comes with a self-watering planter called the shell. Okay? So you only have to water it every 2 to 3 weeks.
That's right. When we're outside, John and I love that crisp, clean Tennessee air. And now inside, we enjoy clean air too, so can you.
That's right.
When you purchase Neo PX, you'll receive 6 Power Drop pouches. To celebrate the launch, Neo PX is offering a 7th pouch free of charge.
What?
That's 1 extra month of pure air.
So go to neoplants.com/Dadville and the code will be applied automatically at checkout. Shipping is available within the U.S. and soon to many more countries. Spending too much time in my kitchen making meals.
Did you just come up? I like that.
Well,
is that your new single?
It's a new single that I'm working on, and it's called Dave.
Yeah.
This summer, weather is looking so nice. I don't want to be spending too much time in my kitchen, and then making meals in parentheses.
Okay. Listen, it's funny because that's not just the title of your song, John. That's a feeling that I relate to. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what happens now, though?
Go ahead.
That's where Factor comes in.
Oh.
Yep.
This ties in so well.
It really does.
Actually.
We should probably record this. You can fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals, so you can spend more time where, John?
Outside.
Not in the kitchen.
But Dave, hey, can I meet my wellness goals with Factor?
John, you're so stupid. You know it. Factor has chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. And Factory's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes.
2 minutes. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to kickstart my routine with 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And these are restaurant-quality meals like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. That one I just say straight up.
That's not French at all. No. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced.
Head to factormeals.com/Dadville50 and use code Dadville50 to get, that's right, 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month.
That's code Dadville50 at factormeals.com/Dadville50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Okay, Hannah Cordell says, what guest on... Yeah, so it's great, and we're professional, and that's what matters right now. What guest on Dadville has influenced anything on your parenting the most? Who was it, and what was it they said suggested? I'm going to ask the second part after. What is wrong with me? The second port.
Stop.
I'm going to ask the second port after that first port.
This first port.
Yeah.
I've got my answer immediately.
Yep.
Stephen James.
Yep.
The thing you're concerned about with your kid is your problem, not theirs. You're bringing on your own baggage onto your child.
Yeah. I don't know. You were really good at remembering stuff like this. So if you remember, attribute them appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember stuff that well like this, but I think generally the things that I think about the most are that thought, like you can't heal your trauma from your kids excelling in something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm never going to be a soccer star. I'm never going to be a soccer star because Ben or Sam who loves soccer is going to be great at soccer. Like that's not going to heal my failed athletic career or something.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. Steven said this, like you can never help me what I'm about to say. You can never take your kids farther than you've gone yourself. Was that Chip or Steven? Chip Dodd or Steven James?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Let's just say both of them.
Yeah, I mean they're Chip mentored
They
Steven,
each said it, but quoting the other person every time.
Or Yoda. I love that. I think about that a lot, and I think for anybody who would really, promote self-work or therapy, which that's a real good proponent for those things. Like just kind of knowing yourself enough to do that.
Miles Adcox said it's not about the rip, it's about the repair.
I love that.
I think about that a lot.
Yep.
Like when you flew off the handle and you screamed at your kids, I feel so much shame, and I'm always like, this is going to be one of their core memories that they remember for the rest of their life. So I'm glad that he said that in that interview with him so that I can know. It gives me some peace of mind that like, no, I can now handle this in a way that's going to repair.
Yeah.
Apologize.
And I think you say this a lot, and I think this is great, but those things, I mean, we'd laugh about it a lot, but it's true. The things that we swear, the thing that is probably going to affect our kids the most is never the thing it is. Like where you're like, when she was riding her bike and it's going to be something. We were at a birthday party, Dad, and you said something, and you're like, what birthday? Whatever, and you're like, there's a lot. I mean, honestly, I think to end that answer, it is rare that we don't have somebody on that says something that I'm like, wow. And I've gotten better at writing stuff down. I didn't do that for forever, and lately I've gotten a little better at like somebody else say something. I go, I need to remember that. But I think we say this all the time, but I think that selfishly, it really is one of the reasons we do this podcast. It's just because we get to sort of collect wisdom from other people.
Totally.
You and from me especially. Do y'all find the Enneagram helpful? Says Ash McJohnson. I love that name. Do y'all find the Enneagram helpful, and if so, how? And what numbers are each of you?
I'm a 4. Dave, I believe, is a 7. And, I think that Enneagram is really interesting, and I know several people who it has been really helpful in different relationships that they've had.
Yep.
Some people, like it's their marriage. Some people, it's a relationship with their parent or their sister or a coworker or whatever. That's where I feel like it is the most helpful. It's like a back door into empathy for relationships.
That's a beautiful way to say that, yeah.
Where you feel like they've gone on for a long time, and you might feel like, I've tried at empathy with this person for too long. And then the Enneagram kind of gives a back door to that, where you can kind of see where they're coming from or whatever. But I don't feel like I feel like I am on the outside of the Enneagram. I'm not somebody who knows a ton about it. And my sort of appetite for it has a limit. Not that I don't like to talk about it, but you and I both have been in conversations, I'm sure, where it goes real deep. And then there's sort of the cynic part of me in the back of my mind where I'm like, guys, it kind of feels like now we're in the territory where it's like, we're so deep in it that nothing means anything anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or I think my struggle with it has always been that, it's like one of the reasons I like it, but pushed to the very edge, which is like, That's John, but he's a 4. Or like that's 4 John. That's like 7 Dave. Instead of like, it's all the stuff that everybody knows is a problem with it, but just it just gets run out to the end where it's like, I don't even know you. I just think of you as the thing you are, and that's how I classify you and treat you. That said, I do think why I love it is the healthy version of that, which is like, it's helped me relate to. I mean, Annie and I. It has been fundamental in our relationship for me and how I love her and know how to help her and communicate with her, translate her in a lot of ways. I love it. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of it within its bounds.
Yeah.
And I think it has helped me, eternally with friendships and relationships, I should say. It just helped to know what people's motivation are in times where I don't understand it, or like ways I need to be careful and not hurting someone.
Yeah.
And how they interpret life for me, or how I present myself to the world, and why. And even moments where I think of like on a spiritual level, like I know when I have spent time with the Lord because I feel more like a 5, which is my, they would say integration move, like I'm more slow. I'm much more contemplative. I'm not as frenzied. And then I think in moments where I'm really unhealthy, I definitely get perfectionistic and nobody's doing everything that they should be doing. And life is not as good as it should be. So it's helpful in those things,
Yeah.
This is a great question. When you're traveling and away from your family, how do you dad?
Oh, that is a good question.
Right?
I think I would say at this point, and it looks quite different, like when I'm away, I think earlier on, I felt more of a responsibility to like call a lot, FaceTime a lot, and like, let's find.
Yeah.
And I think parents in our stage of life will hear what I'm saying here. That can put a burden on Amy. Like when I'm gone, everything obviously is on Amy's shoulders. She's dealing with everything.
Yeah.
So I've kind of learned, like, I don't want to put more on Amy's shoulders.
Yeah.
And to her credit, she's fine to ignore those calls and like she's, which I want her to.
Yeah.
So there's less happening than there used to be. I'm inserting myself less than I used to. Now it's like, if there's anything I can do to help out, like, Amy, let me know.
Yeah.
Like if the girls, if Luca had a bad day or whatever, or Livy had a rough soccer practice, and like I can talk to her and kind of talk to her about it or distract her, whatever. I mean, to be honest, there's really not much I can do when I'm gone.
I was going to say, I think that's something that I realized. I was just gone last weekend doing shows. Like, it's almost better getting completely out of the way. And the reason I feel like I can say that is because when Annie is gone and I have the kids for a couple days, which is not a ton, but, happens intermittently. She's actually going to be gone at the end of this month with Xana for a fun little trip.
Oh, cool.
I like having full carte blanche authority. Like, this is the way I'm going to do this because it is the way I'm built. This is our rhythm. This is what we do. This is how we eat. This is how we hang.
Chick-fil-A nuggets.
All day, every day.
All day. Yeah.
It's like, and it kind of helps not having, just being able to do what I need to do in the way that I want to do it, because it works great. It may not be the way Annie does it, and that's fine. I think we had to kind of learn that. And so I think for me, when I'm gone, I want to check in. I'm catching up with the kids. We'll FaceTime, but there's not a lot of parenting I'm doing.
Yeah.
And Annie may call and be like, I need your help here. What's the move? Or will you talk to Ben or Sam about this thing? Or, or encourage him or whatever it is. But it's kind of, I'm not gone for long enough that it's, and same with you. It's like, I'm never gone for long enough to where it's like, man, you've vacated a parenting space. It's like, hey, we got it for the few days you're gone. Then when you come back, you'll check back in and we'll pick up,
Yeah.
Which I think was tricky for a while, because you can definitely feel a little guilt around, like, I'm not really helping. But I think it is more helpful to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Let someone sort of have their rule while you're gone, your wife. And then you kind of come in as much as when Annie leaves for these days when they're going, for me to go, I got it.
Yeah.
And I know how to run it.
Yeah.
This is a fun question. What do you want your grandparents' names to be? Your grandparent name to be?
Oh, that is a good question. I do think about this every now and then, but I haven't landed on anything. But because Grandma and Grandpa are obviously the classic
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
But I never had a grandma and grandpa. So I don't know. Did you? Did you call grandma
By
and
those
grandpa?
names, no.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I had a grandmother and a granddaddy
Okay.
on my dad's side, and then I had a Mimi and a Papa.
Yeah.
On my mom's side.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, I like Papa. My dad is Papa, and Amy's dad is Grandpa.
You know, one of the tricks I think is like you don't want to get stuck in a name that works when they're 5, but not when they're 25.
Yeah.
Because
So
that'll really bite you.
Luca called Amy's parents just because she couldn't pronounce it when she was little. Instead of Grandma and Grandpa, she called them Pata and Bana. And I thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
And I wanted that to stick, but she just eventually grew out of it.
Yeah,
Pata and Bana.
We
Isn't that
had
cute?
we had Mama Barnes and Papa Barnes, and that was really cute.
Yeah.
And I probably lean there, or Sugar
And
Daddy,
now they
or
just
Big
call
Swole.
you Mom.
I would love those. This is a good one. If you could sing like anybody other than yourself, whose voice would you choose? I love that question.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's a plethora. There are a plethora of singers. But that is a good question because it's like, I mean, it's like when I'm listening to, I remember when I heard Michael Bublé's voice for the first time, you're just like,
Yeah.
what
How
part of my
has he
body do
been
I need
able
to
sing
cut off to
sell a
get-
record? Oh, sorry. No, it's what a voice.
Oh my gosh, what a voice. And every voice has kind of its limitations, like
Yeah.
Bublé has that voice and that's
But his rap albums are awful.
right.
They're so bad.
And then Ben Folds
Yeah.
and like Neil Young
Yeah.
or Bob Dylan
Yeah.
are great examples
Tom
of like,
Waits,
yeah, it's like
Leonard Cohen.
there are things that Ben Folds, I actually think in Ben Folds, ever since 2008 on, his singing ability, his voice, has actually gotten really good. But early on,
Yeah.
and I don't mean this this is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
He's not like
Right.
a great singer.
I always
And
think,
that-
like, would you have them come sing the national anthem?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good
That's to me
metric
kind
for
of a qualifier.
But he was able to sing and still is able to sing certain lyrics that work because of that.
Yeah.
Whereas if Josh Groban sings that, it's almost too much.
Yeah. Too sincere.
There's not a balance to it.
Yeah.
You can have this guy who doesn't have, the classic good voice, and he just got done singing a song where he curses like a sailor and you got to turn it off when your kids are in the car. And now he's singing the sweetest song to his daughter that you've ever heard.
Yeah.
That it works because of that balance. We haven't answered the question.
I'll say this while you're thinking. Vocal tone, Bonnie Raitt, Stevie Wonder, like in his heyday,
Yeah.
Paul McCartney. So tone, right? Like the way that their voice, Ray Charles.
Yeah.
People that when they sing, I'm already a little emotional. I don't know why. Like it's the frequencies are resonating in my chest and making me feel all kind of things. And if I had more time, I could name a lot more of those. But
Yeah.
Jeff Buckley's kind of in that world, like just
yeah.
tones. Now, vocal ability, like their ability to sing notes and execute vocal things, to me, Tori Kelly, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be amazing to be able to open my mouth and be able to, every note I'm hearing in my mind, I can sing it.
Yeah.
That to me, that's a pantheon. Kelly Clarkson lives in
I
that
was
world.
going to say, Kelly Clarkson is probably just sitting in a room with her, playing the piano and hearing her sing.
It'd be amazing.
She's got one of the greatest voices
like
of all
her
time.
ability to achieve. Adele, obviously.
Yeah.
But those things are different. They're different.
Right.
Drew Holcomb and I had a text string for like months.
I
about
remember this. Yeah.
And it was like a funny beef with us because it's how you. But I think you can. I would say for this question, splitting them up into like the tone of their voice and how it sounds, just like how Paul Carrick, who's the lead singer of Mike and the Mechanics, sang "The Living Years," has got one of those voices for me. Like the tone of his voice is like so beautiful to me. But vocal ability, like ability to sing notes and execute whatever the spaces between those notes are from as high to as low. I mean, to me, alive right now, I don't know if there's anybody better than Tori Kelly. Like her ability to execute singing is just out of this world. And I would love that melody. I'd love to just know you step up to the mic and it's if there's a note, I can hit it.
I mean, if I had to pick one, I'm going to put Michael Jackson on one side of a coin, Bruno Mars on the other. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to go with whichever.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I will say, small digression, I'll make this fast. I think something I find myself thinking about a lot in my life as a 45-year-old professional musician is how much I underestimate, and I think most people underestimate. This should have really been a Dave's 5 Hot Takes thing, which I may have talked about at some point on the podcast, but I think we don't think enough about, and you sort of spoke to this earlier, which is why I'm going to say it, songs that really move us. I think a lot of times it's because of the voice that's singing the song too. And of course somebody's like, well, duh, Dave. Yeah. But I think we don't think about that enough. Like, you can have songs that are really amazing and think that's an amazing song, but I bet you a lot of why that song is so amazing is because of who is singing it. And that could be Tom Waits to Tori Kelly.
Yeah.
But so much of why songs move us and are great, I think, is so tied to the delivery of those songs. And you think about, like, and then all you need to do to prove that point is, like, you think about cover versions of songs and how different those feel to you. It shows you, like, it's because of the vehicle that's delivering that song. Mm-hmm. You know, like Garth Brooks' version of To Make You Feel My Love is a very different version of Bob Dylan's version, which is a very different than Adele's.
Yeah.
And some of that's because the song is the same song. It's the voice that delivers. And I think one of the reason I think about this is when I think about the Beatles, I think Paul McCartney may have the most palatable voice in the history of time. Now, I didn't call it the best voice. I didn't call it the best singer. But God just gave that guy a voice that sits so easily in your brain. Mm-hmm. And so when he sings Penny Lane versus Your Mother Should Know versus Martha, My Dear versus The Long and Winding Road, somehow, and back in the USSR to Helter Skelter, all of those songs sound right.
Yeah.
Because he just has this ability to always work in any context, especially in that age of his singing. And I would argue that's another reason why the Beatles were as big as they were, is because he and John had these really transcendent voices that just worked for whatever the vehicle was.
Yeah.
Where, you put Joe Cocker on a song they wrote, which is, A Little Help from My Friends, and it's amazing, but it is a thing.
Right.
And granted, Ringo sang that, but you could hear Paul singing that and being like, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, a couple more here. Let's see what's happening here. John, this is going to be much more aimed at you. And then we're going to end with the really, really, really great thing. Okay. If you could score the soundtrack for any movie or TV show, which one would you pick and why? I'm going to let you answer that.
Like, if I could go back and score the soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
Or is the question, could I, like, keep the soundtrack as it was, but I created it?
I want you to make it up. If you could take a movie and make up the music to it.
Probably Miss Congeniality 2.
I forget how much that one meant to you. Sandra B.
I would want, not the first one, I want it to be established, and then I want to build on that.
Watch what I'd come in.
Watch what I'll do with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Watch what I'll do with Miss Convenient. Do you have an answer for that?
I feel like I got to really think about that.
We can come back. Think about that while we think about other things.
I mean, that's a really hard one.
Dances with Wolves was what you're going to probably say. Okay, this has to be a speed round. Okay. This is all TJ Lopez. Oh, also, I should say Delaney Rannells asked that last one.
Okay.
TJ Lopez 31 is coming in with it's a zingers of a lightning round, but they have to be lightning because we can talk about this forever.
Okay.
Are we in agreement?
Yes.
It's a lightning round. One. Oh, I love that I get to ask you this question. Top piano riffs in a song. It has to be lightning round.
Riffs?
Yeah. I'm going to start. We can just pepper them. I'm going to go with Till You're Gone, Gabe Dixon. The top intro of that song is one of my favorite piano licks.
Okay, so when you read that in the first second,
you heard
a couple hit my head, and that was one of them.
What's the other one?
Come By Me. But that's less of a riff and more of a like the solo in there is the greatest.
There you go. Okay, so I'll add favorite piano solo of mine is, which we talked about with the man, which is one of the coolest moments on this podcast. Bruce Hornsby and I Can't Make You Love Me. That piano.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That piano lick. I think Into the Innocence is a big one.
Uh-huh.
I also think
which the riff is like, it's so great because it's just chords.
Yeah.
But for those who haven't ever paid attention to this, if you listen to that song and as the song goes on, it gets lazier. Like the chords get further back on the beat.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so great.
Yeah.
John Lennon Imagine is one of the
that's great.
Greatest piano riffs.
I mean, I think Industry, can we put that in there? That's a great piano lick.
Your words.
That's a great piano riff. Okay, it's lightning, so I'm going to close this.
Let's go.
Okay. Dream collaborations. Okay, we're going to qualify this. It's got to be fast. Podcast. Who would be our dream collaboration on podcast? I would love to do one with Questlove Supreme.
Oh, that would be great.
I think, gosh, now I'm saying, I'm like, who else would that be? I mean, the guys on Smartless would be really fun.
That would be so fun just to listen to them.
Yeah, just sit in the same room and riff would be really fun.
I feel like Alec Baldwin's podcast.
Yes.
Here's the Thing is one of my favorite podcasts of all time. I think a conversation with him would be really interesting.
Yeah. Okay, music collaboration. He's got to be fast. I would love to write any song that Tori Kelly would sing. I've always felt that way. Bonnie Raitt would be great. Stevie Wonder, Mayer.
I mean, I haven't done anything with Ben Folds. I would love to.
Yeah. Yep.
Any kind of collab with Ben Folds.
Comedy, we would agree. Martin Short. Steve Martin, but I would say especially Martin Short. I think that's going to bring us.
Are we landing the plane here?
Yeah. Oh, no. No, this is a great ending. I scrolled down and saw this last one. Okay, here we go. Purple Picture 14 says, and we're going to end with, of your own personal songs, which is your favorite one to perform, or just your favorite in general? I'm going to make it, what's your favorite, and then what's your favorite to perform? That's how I get to be the boss. What's going to be, what is it?
I mean, if I had to, the way to qualify that question, I think, is if you could stop the whole world and have them listen to one of your songs.
Yeah.
What song is it? I guess for me, it's Indiana.
Oh, I love that song so much. I can't tell you how much I love that song. You know that I love that song, but I love that song.
Thank you.
What about playing?
The playing, I mean, the real answer is it changes all the time.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I have the most fun playing the mood songs. Like for me,
okay.
That's what's most.
What about a particular mood song?
The song "Floating."
Okay. I'm gonna go most proud song. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but I mean it because it's take too long for me to think about. I really love some of the new songs on the new record. I'm really proud of like "The Girl with the Weight of the World on Her Shoulders."
Mm-hmm.
I'm really proud of that song. I'm really proud of like "Someday This Will All Make Sense." It's not to say those are the only ones I'm proud of, but I think they're just top of mind because they're the most recent, and I really worked hard on that record, so I'm really proud of it. Playing live, I think Grace's is always probably the top of that. But man, Dustin and I on this tour have been doing a version of Someday This Will All Make Sense, and it is so awesome to play. Mm-hmm. He does unbelievable piano stuff on it, and it's just really fun to sing and play.
He's frustratingly good.
He's incredible.
I mean, nothing fancy. If I could only pick one song of yours that I would steal and have it be my song,
that's a fun game. I mean, Indiana for me is that's a wham, bam, thank you, man. Speaking of, we love you guys. Keep asking questions.
Thanks, guys.
We'll keep answering them. Dadville.